Good morning, good morning. I'm your host, Hassan Aline.
Co-host Carl Williams.
And it's cool out there. A little
Cold.
chilly. Would you say cold? Yeah. If you got somewhere to be on time, you got to leave early today.
Yeah,
Because
it's
there's a lot
bad.
of people running late and they sure will run into you. They sure will run into you. I was looking at yesterday's show, Feedback with Dr. Michael Greaves.
Yeah.
And
I
Sylvia
picked a part
called
of that.
in. She said something really profound. Was it the money? Did we need the money? Was it either or? Do we
Yeah.
need the money or the vote?
Vote. Yeah.
And Dr. Grills, he gave it a profound explanation. People with money, they have money, but you don't even know they're there. They don't even exist. It's the people that have an idea, that have something to say, that are remembered, and the people, those are the ideas out here in the world that people are discussing and that's moving the country around. White supremacy is one of them that's moving things around. And if you have the money, then you can help to get your ideas out. And he gave a great illustration. Dr. Gribb gave a great illustration about the current president. Trump had money
Mm-hmm.
all the time. He was a billionaire, but then nobody know it. He was not a known figure. The few people that traveled in those circles, have people in New York that know about Donald Trump, let alone the rest of the country until he got into politics, until he started expressing ideas. Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah. Well, he was on TV for a whole year before he even got into politics. Seems
Right. Well,
like.
he was in politics. He was in,
Sure.
what was that? He was expressing ideas on The Apprentice, right? That's when they first became aware. Most people became aware of Donald Trump on The Apprentice. If you didn't watch it, you didn't know about him.
I didn't watch
Oh, me either. But we know what he did. We know how a lot of people became aware of Donald Trump from The Apprentice. And so that's what it is. You don't need a lot of money to start a movement. We still 2,000 years after Christ, he didn't have any money. And one thing he didn't have, did he?
it. That's one thing he didn't.
We all know he didn't have any money. And so it's amazing how, Kyle, we're not doing anything or enough to be noticed. I'll put it like that. I know people are doing things, but it's not enough to be noticed. And look at the convention. What happened in that Democratic convention? Did they get hung up down there? They don't have a candidate for governor. They didn't have one. They might have went in the back room. I don't know about Gretchen. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at it, they had some powerful, they had, there are some powerful candidates that are vying for that seat. One thing that we can say with confidence that Gretchen, was her name Whitmer?
Gretchener. I
Gretchen
think that's it.
Whitmer is playing into the Hillary Clinton role. She's going to just take it easy and walk around all day like there's nothing to her, like she's going to be crowned governor.
That's bad. It's
Huh?
gonna be sadly mistaken.
Oh, yeah, you got to talk up in that mic.
She's
That's one
sadly
thing.
mistaken because there's a few candidates out there now is making some ground.
Oh, yeah, that's what got it hung up. Now, here's the other thing, though, ladies and gentlemen. The contract, we want to see how this thing, what are we talking about here on these candidates? Look at the Attorney General's race. What's her name? Millen? I should have wrote the name down. But anyway, the one lady won, and Pat Miles, the brother, didn't win. But this woman, both of them are attorneys, she filed a lawsuit
Oh well.
on same-sex marriages. I'm looking in the paper and it says, well, her husband was there congratulating her. Was it Lisa? Anyway, it come to me. I should know it, as many text messages I got from them folks. Oh, yeah, I didn't get any from Pat Miles. I got calls from her campaign and text
Mhm.
messages.
That makes a difference.
It makes a difference. She's out on the hustle. She's out campaigning. How are you going to win and nobody knows about you? How are you going to win anything and you won't come out? You won't get the people out. So this woman has been going across the state. And she had recognition by folks in that LBGP, the lesbian
Yeah.
gay community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get those initials mixed up quite a few times. But she had recognition from them. She got out. She's a fighter. Now, I want some of you folks to tell me, what has Pat Miles done? What is he doing? You know, Bill Cobbs has come to some of the meetings around here. He's been to hood research. He's been to a local community activist meeting. Where was Pat Miles hiding? There's a reason why people lose races.
Oh, yeah, it's always a reason.
And one of the main reasons, if they don't campaign, they're too lazy. They say, we got it in the bag. He talked with his buddy Dennis Archer, who sits on the committee, the state committee that appointed, going to select him to be the next attorney general, and it didn't work. Who else called me? I didn't even know them people. It was calling. I didn't answer the phone for a lot of them. I didn't recognize the number. I said, well, I don't know who that is. Just keep going. But I got text messages. You know, I received text messages to come out to vote, to come out. And this started back in the summer. It was back in the summer they were saying, oh, come out. I didn't get rid of most of them things now. Here it is. But here's one right here. Lisa Woodmore Davis coming. I want you to come out. Well, this is the AARP thing. But they're not doing it. Oh, I think that was it. They are not doing it. He didn't do enough. If he did any, he didn't do enough. And so now I guess it's going to go to the next step for another vote or behind in closed doors. If you're going to win, you got to come out. You got people fighting. And that question is always asked now. Well, what about the gay community? How is it that they can make strides? How is it that people listening to them? Well, now you see why people listening to them. They get their folks out to vote. They didn't come to the 13th. I don't know. I don't know if they came to the 13th district or not. But I do know they crisscrossed the state, and they probably did go. I know they contacted people to the 13th district. Maybe they were at a meeting and I wasn't there. But we know that Jonathan Kinlock isn't going to do anything to get anybody out to vote. So how are the Democrats going to win? And then we're going to sit up here and talk all crazy. Well, the Democrats haven't done anything for us. If you're a Democrat, if you're a voting Democrat, if you're a voter, then you haven't done anything for yourself if you don't get your candidate out. If we don't start getting candidates that are going to represent us, then what are we talking about? Look at how crazy it is in this race for John Conyers' seat, Congressman Conyers' seat, 13th congressional district. That will be gone. Whoever's going to be congressman there is going to have the seat for about 2 years.
2 years.
After the redistricting, they're gone. So why are the people running and jumping on a sinking ship? How do we keep the 13th district? How do Detroiters keep the 13th? Well, that's the good question, isn't it?
That's the question.
But we've got to get our people out to vote for the state legislatures. State legislatures, the state senators and the state representatives. All across Michigan. There's no such thing as the Democrats can't take back the House, because you got a lot of people in the state of Michigan that are upset with the Republicans.
That's right.
Whole lot of them.
Some of the Republicans are upset with the Republicans.
You're right about
Democrats.
That's a fact. There's a whole lot of folks upset with them folks right here in Michigan. First thing Snyder did was what? What was the first one of the first things Snyder did when he got to be governor? Put a tax on the pensioners. Put a tax on senior citizens' pension in the state of Michigan.
That was yeah. Well, I remember him doing that.
Oh yeah, how you gonna forget about it? That was one of the first. He didn't play around. He let you know where it's coming from. That was one of the first things the man did. Now on his own way out the door, he says, well, I'm not thinking about Flint. I'm cutting your water off. You're not thinking about Flint. You the one that poisoned Flint.
That's right.
Well, okay, since he poisoned him, it makes sense that he don't want to help him. It makes sense that he don't want to help the residents in Flint. That don't make sense?
Well, you know, I don't understand why the Democrats are so quiet. They don't, you know, they got an issue that would be a winning issue if they open up their mouth, but they don't say anything. They just as quiet.
Well, maybe they don't have any energy. Maybe they're sitting around smoking weed or something. You know, that slows you down. That cools you off. You get mellowed in, don't you?
They don't stop you from thinking.
Oh, it's a mind. It messes with your mind, don't it?
Sure.
Yeah, you know, it don't stop everybody from thinking probably, but the rest of them. And even if they were doing some thinking, it's not going to be that deep. I wouldn't say they're no heavy thinkers. They did have one of them guys, Timothy Leary, that tried all that stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was the LSD man, though. He was on that LSD. Yeah, that's what we got to do. There's no way around it, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way around getting out the vote. Because when you get out the vote, that's how you get the money divided up. That's how you get the money coming to your cities, towns, counties, and villages. But everybody knows that but the black folks. You know, we had what about that discussion over the weekend? One of them went to a couple of the hood research meetings. And in one discussion, the folks was talking about, well, you know, they changed the law on it. Callers call in and tell us that all the time. They changed the law.
Oh, yeah, I hear that all the time, and I keep telling them the law has not been changed. And then the people just saying that, if you ask them, have you seen the law? Oh, no. Well, then why you keep going around saying that they changed the law? They haven't changed the law. They lied to you from the beginning. And then when you see what the law said, and you see it's contrary to what they've been telling you, then you say they changed the law.
Well, they didn't know, Carl. They didn't know there was never any law in the South that we were aware of. And I'm talking about the 60s, not back in the slave days. We talk about the 60s when the people were marching and protesting for the right to vote. And people don't realize the right to vote helps you to change the law or make new laws.
All right.
And they didn't even call it the law. You say, what? No, they didn't call it the law. They said, oh, no, that was Jim Crow.
Jim Crow.
Jim Crow. And I'm sitting there running my mouth. I say, well, I want to know, how did you know that the crow's name was Jim? How come it couldn't be Bill's crow? You know, all them a crow is a blackbird.
Yeah.
They black. And you know, all black folks look alike to white folks, so you know all them crows look alike to them. So how they know it was Jim? His name was Jim. But there wasn't no law. They didn't never talk about the law to us. They call it Jim Crow. You hear that term bannered around all the time? Not Jim Crow, Jim Crow. And I know most of you be saying, what are they talking about? Well, they're really talking about the law. And so they want to act like the South didn't have any laws, or the law didn't apply to black folk, so they call it Jim Crow. They just made up something. Mm-hmm. And I guess they said, well, we got a scarecrow out here. Let's call it Jim Crow. I don't know where it come from. But it's crazy. Well, we got a caller been waiting a while. Caller, you on the air? Hello? Caller, you on the air? Well, they'll call us back. Caller, you on the air?
Hey, good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, Reginald.
Good morning.
What's happening?
All right, how you guys doing?
Okay,
All right.
okay.
Good. You know, couple questions. Why would a sensible voter in Detroit vote for a candidate for any office in Michigan, the state, or the governor, or the Congress that's endorsed by Mike Duggan. Why would we vote for Gretchen Whitcher when she has Warren Evans and Dennis Archer on a committee to select her running? Why would we vote for anyone that's endorsed and supported by Mike Duggan and he's shutting your water off?
What are you saying, Mike Duggan is the kiss of death?
I'm saying what I've been saying all the time. Mike Duggan is the carpetbagger mayor. People can look up the definition of carpetbagger. Okay, he's cut your pension. He was partly responsible for the clawback of your annuities. Why would you listen to anybody that's talking about Mike Duggan as a great mayor? Okay, this guy, he don't even want to talk to the citizens of Detroit on the poverty issue, but he'll go to Boston and talk to Bostonians and white folk that he's rebuilding Detroit.
Well, we know better than that.
Mm-hmm.
He's only really.
The point is, like I said before, this is like a Tarzan movie. You got the wizard, Dan Gilbert, and Mike Duggan. They getting richer and richer by the day, and they got ignorant Negroes like Benny Napoleon, Warren Evans, Wendell Anthony, and others going around trying to convince us a bunch of BS.
Well, it's
So,
still
again, all these folks that thought they were all at a bag of chips that ran down to the Democratic Convention, the white folks showed you exactly how they feel about you. I've been listening to everybody. They say Wendell Anthony got up on the stage and he looked perplexed. He looked hurt. Okay? So white folks have told you. If you can't see that from this convention, this legacy convention, how they feel about you, then something is wrong in Detroit. My question is, after listening to everybody moan and complain, what is the plan? What is the action plan?
Well, what were they moaning and complaining about?
Well, you got no black on the ticket, okay? And it's an all-female ticket, and no one from Detroit.
Well,
Okay.
here's the whole thing, and we've been talking about it quite a while. They got Jonathan Kenley, turncoat Jonathan Kenley, that's not going to do anything to get the vote out in the city of Detroit. That's what he's there for. He's there not to perpetuate the Democratic Party, but to slow it down. He's getting all these illegal appointees, getting paid by none other, I call it John Engler, his stepson, or the second, which is Gangster Snyder, the poisoner. So he's giving him the money, so he's not doing anything. So they just sit back.
Don't forget Duggan is paying him too.
What? And Duggan.
Mm-hmm.
Which position does he have with Mike Duggan?
He's on the Water Commission now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay. I call it the Snyder. That's the duo. That's the duo team because that's part of Snyder's thing, that Water Commission. So he's getting salaries, ladies and gentlemen, to do nothing. But okay, but here's the other thing. Now, if Whitmer loses, then that means the Republicans going to get in for another 4-year term, right? And that means that Mike Duggan says after that 4-year term, or he's going to start running for governor. That would be his plan, wouldn't that? Wouldn't that be the plan for supporting a weaker candidate so you can get in, or get your people in? Are you still there, Reggie?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know you were talking to me.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought you were
yeah.
just-
Well, I mean, you part of the discussion, and I got you
yeah,
on the mic.
yeah. Well, you know, the whole thing here, like I said, Hassan, I'm looking to see now that there's a fictitious concern from folk like Jonathan Kinlock and the other people that say we don't need representation in the 13th. Now white folks got to have them looking like some fools. Okay, so when I ask the question, what is the game plan? I already know what it is. They're waiting on Big Daddy, Mike Duggan, to tell them what to do. There's this concern now that nobody's black on the ticket. Well, when you play the game with Snyder and Duggan, i.e. Kinlock, this is what happens. When you get the 14th and all these the leadership of the 14th, all these cliquish people in the leadership of the 13th congressional district, and they in Duggan's pocket against the people, this is what happens. So I like to know what is the game plan, and also what is the game plan from the concerned citizens of Detroit, the voters. We can't sit here and wait for Kinlock, Wendell Anthony, and others come up with a plan. We need to come up with our own plan, select our own candidate. In other words, have our own legacy convention and pick candidates that have our interests. We need radical change in Detroit government, not in Michigan government, not status quo.
All right, appreciate that.
Right.
Well, he's right about that.
Yeah.
And the plan for change has already presented itself. Except we won't open our eyes, young blood. We really won't open our eyes to what old school is doing. You know, all of those people he named are what? Over 50 years old,
Yeah.
65. They're in their 60s, 70s. Warren Evans, Wendell Anthony, the so-called black leadership, the black intelligentsia, Dennis Archer. You know, these people 70 years old and older. But what does that mean? I don't have anything against age. It means, young blood, that they are trying to find a sofa or a couch to lay on. They're trying to put up some money, feather their pillows, so they'll have something. Nobody's going to hire these people. They're nothing but a bunch of yes men, yes people, yes persons, yes the boss. That's all you get out of them. You don't see them saying, for my support, I want A, B, and C. You don't see Warren Evans saying, give me X, Y, and Z. He's giving away to jail. He's giving away money, and we've said it 100 times on this show. That contract, what they're doing over there at the Wayne County, that's Wayne County Jail, the one that's unfinished, is illegal. Those commissioners should be drugged into court and hauled off to jail. Warren Evans is only one man that lies with the commission. They vote the contracts up and down, and what happened is they cannot, those contractors over there, what's that, Walbridge, whoever's over there, cannot get those increases for the so-called cost overruns. They got insurance policies. They got a bid bond or a performance bond.
Yeah.
And the insurance company is to pay the county for that money. So they want to wait forever to even file a lawsuit. Then they want to drag their feet. And Warren Evans said, oh, we looked at it, we know what's going on. The man is a lawyer, a crooked lawyer at that.
Is he
A
one
double
of them
agent.
double agents?
One of those double agents. All you got to do is look at the lawyers. You see they don't follow the law. They go in and out. Who gonna get them some money? It's almost like the man don't have no respect.
And always seem like they foul or lose. 'cause they don't never win anything.
Oh, no. You know they're not planning on winning nothing. Yeah, those are real double agents over there.
Yeah, you know, they get up there and talk, and I call them feel good speeches, and people fall for that crap, and they ain't doing nothing, not doing nothing to benefit the people.
And look at Flint. All of a sudden, I remember when they were just hooping and hollering about Weaver, which I haven't heard of her. But Flint Mayor Weaver, she's jumped in, and ever since she was a mayor, she started fighting them from day one. I guess that would kind of make you mad, somebody poisoning your whole city, men, women, children,
Yeah.
babies, old folks. So, and then you had the people on the council and other folks in there that wanted to recall her. There was a recall against her.
Yeah,
And that's something. The only person, she was part of the group, I guess more than one, they voted her in. They were against Poison Snyder. Here, nobody says anything. Oh, Snyder's a good guy.
good for who?
Well, for whoever he's got compromised, like Kenlock giving him money through a job, he can only have one by law, and nobody's saying anything about it. How is the Wayne County prosecutor Kim Worthy isn't saying anything about it?
No, she's just quiet as a church mouse.
Because it's okay. She said she had something to say about Sharon McPhail representing River Rouge. When she was sitting on the city council, when she was councilwoman McPhail, she had something to say about it. Say, well, you can only have one job. You can either represent River Rouge or be a Detroit City Council. Why didn't that saying that about Jonathan Kenlock? Wow. Because the fix is in.
Yes, the fix is in.
The fix is in.
She ain't gonna say nothing. When the white power structure is trying to do something, she can't see nothing.
Can't see nothing.
She can't see nothing. She made her career off of Kwame, and she just ain't. She ain't never been all that, as far as I'm concerned. And she's showing it because she's silent. She don't see nothing. All the stuff going on in Detroit, she can't see nothing.
Nothing going on. Huh? Nothing going on but the rent. But yeah, they gonna tell her they run all them old fake news. You know what though, Carl? They just look at us. They look at Detroit like we real stupid, dumb, and crazy.
Oh yeah.
Don't have any sense. And then they turn around and say, well, the Wayne County Jail, the steel has been out in the elements for about 5 years, and we don't think you can put the jail up now because it's unable to support itself because it's been in the rain. How long has that steel been out there on the Hudson site? 20 years?
Yeah.
In the rain? But they're going to put up a 80-story building on this so-called corrosive iron?
And that shows you that they lying.
Huh? All day long. All day and night. That stuff has been out there since Dennis Archer. It was completed under Archer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Coleman Young started it, the demolition process. I think it was under Coleman Young. But anyway, we know it was there with Archer. So you're talking about almost 20 years, 15, 20 years. It's been out there in the elements, and ain't nobody said nothing about it. Only thing they're going to say is, well, it was tested and it was okay. Let's take a call. Carl, you on the air.
Hi,
Hello?
Go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Happy
If you speak up a little louder, though.
one, it has been announced that there will be a black candidate as lieutenant governor.
Well, you got to talk into the phone. Talk into the phone. We hear you got to talk into the phone.
Is that better?
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's been reported that there is a splash of color coming to the ticket in the form of lieutenant governor candidate. So much for the trick on the Wayne County voters, Detroit voters in particular. The other thing has to do with John Engler. Early on, after over 260 young ladies who were raped and molested by Nassar, I stated that Michigan State University should be shut down, not torn down, just shut it down, empty it of all of the staff, put the assets in escrow, and deal with the law cases or court cases of all of the young ladies, the physical needs and the mental needs of them. And after that, you can deal with rebuilding Michigan State University. Well, the governor, who has poisoned the people in Flint, who just doesn't give a crap about anybody, it seems, has appointed John Engler, as you know, the past governor of the state, as president of Michigan State University. Well, it seems that more of the same is taking place. A young lady went to John Engler and told that she had been raped by Nassar. John Engler's response was, "Will you take $200,000 and go away?" She said, "No." He says, "Well, how much do you want?" Now, what has happened since that time, the young lady has shared the meeting with John Engler. Now he sits like a dummy or a deer caught in the headlights because he's carrying on at Michigan State the same MO as was carried on by Nassar and the woman who was president of Michigan State. Now, that's another reason why I said Michigan State should be shut down and everything put in escrow. And I encourage anybody around here who has family members thinking about going to Michigan State, don't do it. Don't do it. Wayne County Community College has tuition that is a lot less. You can get an associate's degree for a lot less and then transfer to a university. In the days of needs for income here and being concerned about Michigan being turned into a red state and all of the punitive things that are happening to the people here, they need to count every penny that they earn. So I just wanted to share those two things with you that are going on around here.
Well, I have a question.
Worse and worse with Snyder, and he wants to do as much as he can before December 31st because he's out the door.
Right, right. Theo, you know, those rapes are very serious. Theo.
Yes.
That situation about Dr. Nassar and the rapes and who he didn't rape or who he molested, that's a very sensitive issue. And I understand that part. I may not know exactly how the women feel about it. But here's my question. And I think a lot of people really want to know. Nassar now in jail for almost 100 years, a lifetime. Or I don't know how many years they're going to give him because it's some more places. But I know he's got quite a few. He can't outlive the time. We know that.
Right.
So what kind of compensation is it that women or some of the women are looking for? I know they don't. I know they'd rather just say, "I don't want any money. I want him killed." There's no death penalty in Michigan. So, is there some way? I mean, is it a foundation they want? Is it some kind of sensitivity training the people? I know they want a lot of structure, and it. You know, I don't know. I don't know what was in John Engler's mind except he wanted to sell it and get out of it. I understand that. But women are upset now and they're very emotional. The ones that it happened to, I know they are I'd be emotional too.
Right.
I'd still be upset about it. But somebody in their family or somebody need to figure out what it is they want. How do you turn down some money? The thing that was done to him is over. The perpetrator was caught, is being punished. They're not going to kill him unless it's in the Florida somewhere. He's not going to be executed. So what is it that people want? It's almost like it seems bad now, but in the emotional state, a lot of the people in, if they turning down money, look like they're going the wrong way.
Well, one, a foundation it sounds okay, But the young ladies, perhaps that particular young lady who turned down the 200,000 would accept more, because one, a lot of the young ladies have paid tuition. They need to be reimbursed for that. Their mental health needs to be paid for, okay? And the physical health needs that some of them are going through needs to be paid for. So in other words, they need health insurance paid for. But the fact is, NASA was not the only one molesting some of the girls. There were people involved in the sports team. And there was someone who had reported being molested by some of the sports players, and she was told, hey, suck it up, go on and just forget about it. We do not want to have any of our sports team members exposed.
Well, we know that
and
hopefully.
Who knows how many other faculty people in that university were taking advantage of the young girls who were there. That's why I say the whole thing needs to be shut down.
It probably
and
does.
John England to come in carrying on the same policy.
But here's the whole thing. I'm listening to him, and I think you brought up some of the problems that need to be addressed. Like, what are they going? Who's going to pay for? They need their student loans paid for.
Yes.
They're going to need counseling in the future.
Yes.
A lot of things like that, but it costs money,
Yes.
and that's what I'm looking at. That somehow, as this thing is being discussed, they need to be putting that as part of the discussion.
Right.
How to it's kind of easy, really, to say, well, pay them $250,000, give them $500,000. 250 is $250,000, 500,000. Are they going to really come up with that kind of money in their lifetime and all that stuff? So it's easier, really, from the university standpoint, to pay them that kind of money. Because, number one, the government is going to get a third of it right off the top.
Right.
So they're not going to see the whole 250,000 or 500,000. And then the lawyer's going to get a percentage of it. So that's why I'm saying the problems that you are stating that the women are having and are going to have in the future, and other folks, there has to be some kind of foundation, some kind of what they call an institution now, institutional system created to protect them and still compensate them for some money. But if they just give them the money, then there's nothing in place to stop the next guy, the next predator.
Right.
You want a deterrent there.
Yeah.
And
Right.
something to compensate them to keep it from happening again.
And you see what they think. Most of these people that went crazy in these colleges because they're thinking about winning football and basketball championships. They don't care nothing about the women there. We see that. That ought to be a no-brainer.
But John England has certainly exhibited the same kind of attitude prior to him coming to that university.
That's why
He
they
was
brought him
carrying
there.
on the same, attitude.
That's why they brought him there.
Good
He's not.
point.
There's nothing compassionate about John Engler and Gangster Snyder.
They wanted the same.
Right. Those are showing up buddies and sidekicks. There's nothing
It's
compassionate
they were
about it.
related some kind of way.
And
They lost some.
we can cry all we want as black, but weren't most of those people they did that to white women,
Yeah.
white young girls?
Y'all leaving
Yeah.
somebody out, Duggan.
Well,
You need to be
yeah.
right along with it.
Well, Duggan he's another guy that's really not compassionate, but he's not identified with the Michigan State controversy. But what I'm saying is we need to start looking at this thing and that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of emotion. Emotion is running high,
Right.
and some of the stuff that I say, well, wait a minute, this is what they need. You can give them the money, and everybody needs money, but what about the process or some kind of institutional safeguards? I think that would be so people can understand. We don't want it to happen again.
Right, and John England has 2 daughters, they say.
Asked him,
2
knew he
daughters,
cared.
but yet he has that attitude.
Well, you know, people don't really think it's going to happen to them.
Ah.
He doesn't think anything like that is going to happen to his daughter or granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't understand what goes around comes around.
Right.
You know, he just don't understand it, but he going to see it in a different way. It's going to be there. And so, but we, you know, as people, we just got to stand up and start demanding and supporting some of these people at Michigan State, because, you know, that's one way you could do it is shut it down, but they're not going to let that happen because they got all that money.
Yeah, well,
But so the other thing though is, okay, then put in the safeguards. Put in the safeguards so this won't happen to any young women or young men. They messing with all the men up there in Philadelphia, and they paid off a lot of them. But in the drumbeat going on, they still got people going to that college.
Right. That's why people really need to hear point by point the details and give them something to think about. And it's not so much that I'm interested in Michigan State being shut down and torn down like they have done some of our public schools here in the city of Detroit, brand new buildings too. But just the fact that the assets need to be accumulated in one place in an escrow account, and then have a analysis of all of these young girls. I mean, over 260. I mean, just to wrap your mind around that number that have been affected, and then determine what it would cost. All I can do is estimate the amount of health care, physical health care, mental health care, and the tuition and all of the expenses that go along with being in a dormitory, not just the tuition, you know?
Right.
So when they evaluate and get all of that determined, then they can see what to do with the schools. But as it is right now, they're still paying for staff. That's a big expense. The running of the school, of course. Instead of putting the building in mothballs until they figure all this stuff out, they still have expenses going on. And
Okay, Theo, we're going to have to let you go.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, and those you viewers, stay tuned because we're going to stay over half an hour to 10:30.
So we're going to
We're gonna
10:30?
Yeah, we're going to 10:30. We're going to take a station break at the top of the hour.
That's 5 minutes
And
from
we'll
now.
be
That's 5 minutes. We still
continuing.
Right. That's 5 minutes from now. We're
Yep.
going to be here at 10:30. Don't make them think to go get the coffee now.
No. You got a few more minutes.
But Flint, you know, we talking about what they did at the Michigan State University. Those were white folks, white women, white young girls. These folks, this white supremacy don't care. They don't care what they do. That's obvious. They don't care what they do to people who they poison. Blacks, white, Latinos in Flint, Michigan, and anywhere else. You know, it's strange that Weaver says she's going to sue Governor Snyder over the water issue. Because Snyder said, well, there's nothing we can do. Y'all got the test is coming back okay, so he's out of that. But you're the cause of it. So that's Snyder. Snyder never wanted to give the water. You know, he had to be sued in court to give up the water for Flint, the bottled water. But here's the thing. Flint is no longer under the emergency manager. Flint is no longer under the Financial Review Board. Why is Detroit under the Financial Review Board? Why is that?
Nobody saying anything?
But it's not the same law. They got a Flint Financial Review Board Act, and they got one in the city of Detroit. It's not the same law. Therefore, those are local laws or local acts that cannot go into effect before it has been voted on by the people. Oops. Oops. That's Article, is that
That's-
Article 9? That's
No,
Article 7.
4, Section 29.
Oh, that's Article 4, Section 29, man. We've been talking about that local act a long time, haven't we?
Yeah, and it hasn't changed. I mean, we just have stopped talking about it. We don't talk about it as much as we used to, but I see we're going to have to start talking about it because people don't seem to be aware of their rights as far as all these different laws and policies that they're coming up with, that they have the right to vote on them.
Well, the white folks said that Master said, the black folks said, Master said, they running our city. No, they lying to you, and you believe it and never go read the Constitution, even though folks say they read it, call up here all the time talking about they read it. Local Act. This is Article 4, Section 29. The legislature shall pass no local or special act in any case where a general act can be made applicable. They could have made it a general act. And whether a general act can be made applicable shall be a judicial question. Oh, you got to go to court over that one.
That's right.
No local or special act shall take effect until approved by 2/3 of the members elected to and serving in each house, and the majority of the electors voting thereon in the district affected. So we had to get 2/3 in each house. I don't even think that happened. Did they get 2/3 in
No,
each house?
because we was hollering about that, I believe.
They had to get 2/3 in each house before the law that a local act became effective. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to the top of the hour. We're taking a break, mandatory FCC break, and we're coming back. Don't go anywhere, and we're going to finish discussing that. Have your questions ready. Have your thoughts ready on whether or not the state is really legally taking over and running the city under this financial review board that you have to come out of bankruptcy. You have to keep for them 3 years. The mayor, Livonia Mike Duggan, is lying about. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a minute. Station break. Station ID.